Hey guys, this is Chesney Hawks here. You are watching My Hammers 11 with the one and only Russ.
Hi everybody, Russ from My Hammers 11. Hope you are all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon. She may remain time we put new content on. As always, like to thank our lovely channel sponsors, Untuck It. Check them out in the description below. So we have another episode of My Hammers 11, over 300 or something. I've lost count. I should really count, to be honest. And today we've got Andrew. How are we, Andrew?
I'm very well, thanks, Russ.
How's things been with you recently? How have you coped in this sort of new world we live in?
I've been very busy actually. I work for Royal Mail, so on the parcel side of things. So yeah, it's been very hectic. It's just beginning to ease down now with the shops opening. Yeah. So it's been very busy for me.
I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, most of it's probably my wife. To be perfectly honest, Andrew, it seems that not only do we know the postman by first name now, we know the Amazon driver, the DPD guy, Hermes. They all just know us now. So yeah, just put it around the back. Yeah, thank you. You know, it's a different way of working, isn't it? And but I can imagine, it'd be so busy. But as you said, with the shops sort of easing, opening, and every so often more and more, it's should ease the load a little bit. Just come out to the summer, so that'd be good.
That's right. It was it was very, very eerie the first couple of weeks. And obviously everyone, they've taken lockdown seriously, but it was literally going out of the yard and there was no one. There was no cars on the road, no people. It was strange, very strange. But
I can imagine.
We've turned a corner now, and we're getting
hopefully, hopefully we've got a couple of weeks until a week or 13 days, something like that, until all the restaurants open inside and the pubs open inside. So we'll see. Yeah, I know. I can't wait. And obviously, and the effect on West Ham is, potentially it means if everything opens up correctly, then we could have some fans in for the last game of the season, which will be brilliant. And hopefully, maybe even some away fans of the West Brom game beforehand. I think that's what they're trying to work on at the moment. So
I think I saw a news feed today that they're not going to have any away fans.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Hot off the press. Hot off the press. No away fans. But I don't mind that, to be honest. I wouldn't mind that. I think, particularly the season we've had, I think, if it means we can have 500 more fans in the stadium cheering the boys, that's great. Because it's been a hell of a season, isn't it? What a season we've had.
Yeah, I mean, that game Monday night was fantastic. I mean, to turn that around, and some of the players, I mean, Lanzini and Antonio, just to come, almost from the outside and to perform like that was, it was very good.
Well, I mean, particularly Antonio. I mean, obviously, I think he surprised Moyes by these levels. I mean, he was still running at 90 minutes. Yeah. He'd never done that all season. Do you know what I mean? He's always like a 70-minute man, isn't he? But and obviously Lanzini. I mean, that seems to be his position now. I mean, I think I was listening to Moyes' post-match interview, and he was saying, I think Manu sort of realised that he wasn't the player he was before he had the injuries, and so he's a different type of player now, and maybe we found the position for him, which is great because we need that sort of extra option. We've got all these options now. It's like Declan Rice or whoever's back in, it could be back for the next game. Oh Christ, well, who we're going to drop Lanzini? Yeah, probably, because Declan Rice is Declan Rice, but still, it gives you that a bit of a headache, which is nice for once.
That's spot on. I thought he slotted in there really well alongside Dick. And where he might have been sold in the summer, Moyes might think twice about it now. He might think maybe he's worth keeping.
I think he is.
But like you say, when he had that injury, he lost sort of half a yard of pace, and he can't play like the Bowens do, the Ben Ramas, Lingard. He's not a player like that anymore.
No. I always think he plays better when there's no disrespect to Manu, but when there's someone more skillful than him on the pitch. Because for me, his best seasons were obviously when he was with Payet, and Payet was the main man. He was number two, and then when he got injured. He came back. Pite had left, and so he was like, "Oh, Diamond, you're the guy who's going to do it all." I think there's just too much pressure on him. So obviously, going back into the team now, you've got Lingard, you've got Ben Rama, you've got these, you've got arguably guys who may be more skillful than him. Maybe it takes a little pressure off it, and sort of deep line midfield role. He was just really. I just thought he was really good. I thought he was really good, and I totally agree. I think for a lot of them now, I think, we have to reevaluate based on where we're going to be next season, hopefully in Europe, bar a complete catastrophe. I think a lot of these players we're going to need. So people like Manu, a European type of game might suit him more because it's slightly slower pace. Mark Noble, he's going to, a slower pace. Europa football or Champions League football, or whatever football we play in Europe, is going to be more suited to him as well. So I think, it means we can rotate the squad a bit more. So, everyone's saying, "Oh, yeah, we'll get rid of him, get rid of Anderson." We're probably going to need these bodies in the summer because
more games.
Exactly, more games. And if you sell them and you're going to sell them for a loss, what are you going to bring back in to replace them? So you might as well not lose money on them and keep them in, and see what happens. But it's going to be exciting. But I mean, was it 17? We've got the most wins in the Premier League ever in one season this season now for us.
Yeah, I know.
More to go. It's just
been an outstanding season. Let's just hope we can just finish it off.
Yeah, I did the calculations today, sort of the permutations. I haven't done the actual predictors, but I was looking through, it's based on league positions and who needs to win and what happens and and it's interesting. It's funny I'm looking at these things now. If someone told me in August I was going to be sweating potentially Arsenal winning the Europa League to not get into the Champions League, I'll be like, what? What's going on? So it's turnaround is amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Also good.
When you're watching the games on the telly, Andrew, do you watch them with the crowd noise on or the crowd noise off?
I normally have the crowd noise on.
Yeah,
I prefer that. But it is an experience when you have it off and when you can hear literally everything the players say, especially when they go down injured and they scream in it. It's like, God, get up.
Really? Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. and it's so true. I mean, I think a lot of people did that. I think a lot of people when it first. So hopefully we won't have a situation when that's going to happen again now. But I think when obviously we still first started playing games behind closed doors, people were a little bit, it's a bit fake. I'm going to listen to it with the crowd noise off. But I think now people are just used to it now. So it's almost like white noise now. You have to have it. It sounds weird otherwise, I think, now with sort of just a completely sterile crowd, so to speak. And so, I remember actually when we did have that one game, against Man United, and I think a lot of the London clubs played as well. Soccer Saturday or football on Sunday, whatever. They were all London clubs, and I kept on trying to flick it to the quiet version, but it wasn't. It was the fact that there was actually fans there, and it's just so unusual. I just couldn't get my head around it. But hopefully we're getting to the end of this now, and next season when we for our Champions League campaign, we'll have 60,000 back in the stadium, hopefully. So,
well, that would be,
Who's your hammer of the year so far, Andrew? So far? They got 4 games left, but who'd you pick?
That's a tough one. I mean, Rice has played really well. Bonner, Soufal's come in. Souček, Antonio.
It's hard, isn't it, this year? Yeah,
it really is. I suppose you probably have to go for Souček because he's made, I think, the biggest difference.
Yeah.
And alongside Rice, they complement each other so well.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah, I think Souček would be mine.
I think he'll end up winning it. Yeah, my pick is Soufal.
Yeah,
because exactly because everyone's Soufal. Yeah, because he's just there. You know what he's like, and he's like he's like the modern day Tim Breaker. Tim Breaker was always, you could never question his commitment.
Yeah,
always 7 out of 10 every game. But for that exact reason, you'd never pick him because he's not like getting the goals or things like that. But I'd love it to be Souček. I want Soufal to win it, but I don't think he will win it. I think I'd love it to be Souček and Soufal, winner and runner up. That would be incredible. And and old the ambassador would go absolutely ape, wouldn't he? He'd love it. He'd love it. Old Vibor, or his name is. He'd absolutely adore. It's like the other day when we played the Burnley game, because obviously Vidra is Czech Republic as well, and so he was like, I'm trying to be sort of team sort of neutral, but West Ham have got two, so two Czech boys in the team compared to one. But I love it, and I love the way the boys all in terms of the Souček and Soufal, the way they just integrate themselves into West Ham.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like you get a lot of foreign-based players who take time to adjust, to understand sort of the culture and things like that. Not them boys. Absolute mustard. But we'll see. Wherever we are, we've had a good season.
We will look back on it with fond memory.
Yeah, we will. It's just typical, isn't it? We've had this season, and there's been no bugger be able to watch it apart from me. But it doesn't matter. Anyway. So the first question I tend to ask, only 11 minutes. That's not too bad for me today. 10 minutes in is why West Ham, Andrew? Why is West Ham your team, man?
It's quite an unusual story.
Good.
My dad and my uncle are both Chelsea, so obviously I was born into the Chelsea cliques, so to speak. And then by 75, I would have been 7, and I used to go to junior school, and my best mate was a Liverpool fan, and he used to just take the pee out of me, because at that time Chelsea were down the bottom of the old second division. They were awful. They were absolute rubbish. And I saw the FA Cup final, and you had all the razzmatazz and grandstands, and it was from there I saw West Ham, and I saw their colours. The claret and blue just stood out for me, and obviously the fact that they won as well helped. And from then, I was sort of going towards them, but I couldn't really say anything to me.
You're sort of tittering. You're like on a tightrope. Where do I go?
Yeah, I was almost sort of a secret West Ham fan. So sort of like the rest of the 70s, I used to follow West Ham, but then I was Chelsea, and then obviously 1980. The FA Cup final. That was, I think, by then, and I was going up. That year, I was going up into senior school. So as far back as I can remember, that was when I was West Ham then.
Yeah. It's funny, actually. Someone, who did I interview? And their story was almost identical in terms of the colours. Well, a lot of people, actually, to be honest. But I think it was, that's going to annoy me now, Paul McGinley, the Ryder Cup captain. It was the 75 FA Cup final, and it was the first game he'd seen in colour. And obviously, West Ham came out in claret and blue, and Fulham came out in black and white. He's seen black and white. He's seen it. So he got drawn to the claret, and in this little Irish town in the middle of Ireland, obviously, all huddled around the one person in the village who had a colour TV, and as you said, and when you made the right decision, Andrew, and obviously went to the claret and blue side. I mean, you have, there has been a couple of, you've missed out on a few Premier League titles and some Champions League success.
I know. Like people do ask me about that. They do say to me, "Do you have any regrets?" And to be perfectly honest, I don't, because my dad and my uncle, they took me to a few games sort of at the end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s. They took me to Stamford Bridge, and it just didn't feel right. We used to stand on the corner terrace around from the shed, and we were so far away from everything. I mean, it's almost like roles reversal, with West Ham now, we're miles away from it, and Chelsea are close to everything in their grounds. But and it was strange. I almost wanted, I know it sounds funny, I almost wanted Chelsea to lose. And then because I didn't like seeing me dad and my uncle happy. So it's strange.
That's the way around.
But I couldn't say anything, because then I was only sort of 10, 12. But my dad did eventually. I can't remember how it came about. I must have been badgering him. The first game I went to was in 1982. He picked a game. He said, he said, I don't want one with too much, because there was a lot of crowd trouble around that time.
Yeah, sure.
So he said, oh, I don't want to pick a London side. He said, so he picked Leeds. And Leeds at the time were a bit.
Leeds.
I know that's shows the amount of knowledge that my dad had about that type of football, really. So yeah, I went to the West Ham Leeds game, and I can't remember if we drove or got the train there, but just coming into the ground, it just, everything. I was 14 at the time. Everything just seemed so big, and it was just that close knit feeling. And we went onto the North Bank. And West Ham won, I think it was 4-3 that day. Brooking got a couple, cross, and a Ray Stewart penalty. And it was, that was it. I mean, if I had any doubts between then and that game, they were totally gone. I was West Ham through and through then, if I wasn't before. But I mean, that game, it was I was in awe of everything. Everything just, like I say, everything just seemed so big. And that was.
Well, especially, I mean, even when you're at Stamford Bridge, and whatever, it's something I don't think I appreciate really as much is because, you sort of take it, well, not till recently, but you do take it for granted. You go to London Stadium, there's 60,000 people there. That's a lot of bloody people there. There's a lot of people there, even Upton Park, 30,000, 36,000, whatever. And as a kid, that's the most amount of people you've ever seen. And you don't. I didn't really think about it. I mean, ironically, the game I went to was Oxford United. I think there was about 12,000. It's typical, just like, but still, you think that's even that. It's like it's a hell of a lot of people there, and but you don't feel intimidated by it. Do you know what I mean? I never felt, oh God, shit, there's all these big guys shouting. You just felt part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that was exactly the same for me. It was just, I thought, wow. It was a brilliant day. I'll never forget it. Never forget it.
And everyone's the same. Everyone I interview, Andrew's like, no one I've interviewed in 300 odd interviews have said, I went to the first game. It was all right. I sort of like, I could take it or leave it. As you said, the first time you went, that's it, you're hooked. First Upton Park, that's it, you're hooked. And then you blink and it's 40 years. Is gone. And we still won fuck all in that 40 years, apart from inside the cup and a couple of betways. But I know what you mean. When you said, when people say, do you regret, not supporting Chelsea, and that's why I'm still a bit. I think that's why a lot of West Ham at the moment, obviously, the success we're having, relative success for our history at the moment, is so unusual because we still don't know how to cope with it. We've still got this. It's almost like when you've got a phone and you reset it to factory settings. We've still got those factory settings in our head. So like even now we're thinking, we're going to Europe. Next year is going to be a struggle. The squads, we're going to be in relegation battles next season, or or like the Newcastle game a few weeks ago. I was getting people texting me going, "Oh, thank God we're back. West Ham are back. Thank God." Like it's almost like it's programmed that we're ready to accept failure. And that's why I think if we ever, someone said to me, would you like to be Man City and win the FA and win like the Premier Leagues and Champions League? I don't think I would, in all honesty, because I think we'd lose that characterism of being, not of being a loser, but being just unlucky, that type of you know what I mean?
Where you're coming from, I think exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I love it. I do love it. And as you said, it's that torture. It's that torture. It's like, it hasn't happened much this season where I've come back from a game and I've, unseries linked match of the day. And my wife doesn't even need to know or need to ask me how we've played if I've unseries linked match of the day on the telly. I haven't had to do that a lot this season, but when we used to, you'd unseries link it. I'd sit there. You stew on it. Sunday, you read the paper, read the report, stew on it. Monday, right, who we got on Saturday? Who have we got? Starts again.
Yeah.
It's almost like sadists, aren't we? We were sadists to that. But it's different now. It's different now, Andrew. It's the start of a new era at West Ham. So
let's hope so.
I look forward to. Yeah, exactly. Me too. I think a lot of people look forward to and hope so. Right. So let's talk about your 11s. Obviously, everyone we have on the channel puts together a 11. So the idea is you can pick based on whatever criteria you want. It doesn't have to be the best players. It could be the worst players, your favourite players, whatever. But the only rule is you have to be alive to see them play. Otherwise, we'd have all put in. I mean, I know you saw Billy play, you saw Trevor Brooking play, but I never saw any of them play. I saw them manage, but I never saw them play. So they weren't in my squad. So that's how it works. Otherwise, they'll be the same bloody squads. You'd have Bobby Moore and stuff like that. As is. Exactly right. So let me get my little bits of paper up ready. So who is going to be in goal for Andrew's 11?
In goal is Phil Parks.
Mr. Parks. Yes.
He was he was colossus, a very imposing figure. I mean, imagine a striker sort of bearing down on him in goal, and he was just massive. Just a great goalkeeper. Very very calm as well. And I actually when I went on a tour of Upton Park, he was the former player that showed us around, and his size of his hands, his hands were massive, absolutely massive. But he was. I mean, he was brilliant. When he did that for us, and very honest as well. Someone asked him a question. They said, "What's the best team that you've played with in your career, like for a season?" And everyone was expecting him to say the 85-86 team. And he didn't. He actually said a QPR side from 75-76 when they finished second. They had Stan Bowles and a few other players. And I thought, fair play to you. I'll take me out of it, because you could have quite easily just gone along with everyone and just said, "Oh yeah, the 85-86."
Yeah.
But no, he was smashing bloke and a great goalkeeper.
Yeah. And also the hair put him another sort of foot up in the air as well, weren't it? Bless him. I can get that totally. And just this, just a giant of a man, isn't he? He'll be on. We'll hopefully get him on the channel soon. Hopefully, we've had his daughter on a few months ago actually. Yeah, Marie, bless her.
All that,
And she's. So we'll sort that out. That'd be good.
We have had some great keepers. I mean,
we have.
I'll have to mention Ludo, because Ludo was he was obviously straight after Parks, and he'll always be remembered for that Manchester United game. When we drew 1-0 and stopped them winning the league. I mean, he was heroic that day. He was brilliant. And I was actually in the Bobby Moore upper tier, on the front row. And back then, the Man United fans, the away fans, were below us. So you imagine the stick that they got. I was leaning over, waving to them at the end of the game and that. And leave it at that.
But I mean, Ludo epitomised. Talk about Ludo. He epitomised of the West Ham. Until recently, we'd always turn up those big games, wouldn't we? So when Man United were going to turn up, we would turn up. Or Chelsea or Tottenham. It's the one games we turned up where we tended to always let ourselves down for the Burnleys and stuff like that. And Ludo, that was Ludo. He'd have an absolute worldie against Man United almost every season, and then he'd slip one through his hands, wouldn't he? Against Southampton or something like that. That was West Ham.
Yeah, he used to love to come to a cross, and you'd be like, "Oh, 9 times out of 10 he'd get it," but then it'd be like, "Oh, good chief."
Just. It's like now. I mean, I trust Fabianski. As soon as the cross comes in, I'm not even looking at him catching. I'm looking where he's going to throw it. But recently, the way, and I don't know if this is his new training or whatever, but when someone passes him the ball, his first touch seems to be like ever so slightly heavy at the moment. And like a couple of times that Burnley game, I thought Chris Woods was like running in. I was like, but yeah, no, I love him. Yeah. Goalkeepers, we've done all right. We have, apart from like 6 months last season, we was all right for goalkeepers, really, isn't it? Last season, God, that seems ages ago, doesn't it? With Roberto. Right, okay, we'll put Parksy in. Okay, let's go. Who's next?
Right back, it's got to be Tonka. Ray Stewart, got to be. He was a fantastic fullback. The two times for him that stick in my mind was the 81 Cup final, League Cup final against Liverpool when he hit that when he scored that last minute penalty to draw level, and a penalty that he got because he was great at penalties in the 85-86 season, and that was against Ipswich. That was our last home game.
Yeah.
And we went 1 down against Ipswich and come back to win 2-1. And I've never known the tension when he took that. I was in the crowd on the North Bank. It was unbearable. It was electric. And after he'd scored, I'd never seen the South Bank, because back, obviously then it was terracing.
Yeah.
The South Bank, where everyone was jumping up and down, it was almost like the stand was moving. It was. And then there was obviously everyone ran onto the pitch after the game. But yeah, I mean, his penalties were I mean, it was like Dix. He just used to smash them. Like my dad used to say, I hate these players that just come up and try and place it. And that he says, just hit the bloody thing.
Yeah, it's
and
so true.
Nine times out of 10, even if it hits the goalie, he gets a hand to it, it'll still go in because they whack it so hard.
And that's why they did it. That's why they did it, wasn't it? It's like I spoke to I've chatted to Tonga before about his penalties, and that's what he always used to say. He goes, "Oh, Russ, I can't do a Scottish accent, but I hate these dinkers." I think he called him a dinker. I hate dinkers. Just twat it. And it's like, okay, all right, Ray, bless him. I love Ray. He's a top boy. Right, okay, we'll put Ray Stewart in. Who's next? Who's next in defence?
I'd like to mention, Timmy Breaker. I think he gets a mention at right back as well.
Yeah, I liked him. He's a top boy as well.
Yeah.
They're all nice lads. They're all nice guys, aren't they? All that era, even sort of the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, everyone we've had on the channel, everyone's been brilliant. And yeah, Tim was the one that surprised me because I found he had a really dry sense of humour. And I always thought he was I thought it was quite boring when he was a player, but I mean, they used to call him the robot. But it's because of he was so, just muscular, just do the job. But really funny boy, really funny guy. I really, really liked him. Okay, so we'll put Tonka in. Honourable mentions to Tim Breaker. Yeah,
definitely. Left back, obviously the Terminator, Julian Dick. Dixie. I think if it wasn't for his lack of pace and sometimes positional awareness, I would have put him in the same bracket as like Ashley Cole, Paolo Maldini. He was fantastic again. He was, and he had a wand of a left foot. But God, did he put in a tackles? I mean, sometimes you'd watch it and you'd think he'd come charging in. You'd have to look away because you just thought, if he doesn't time this right, it's going to go horribly wrong.
Yep.
And obviously he got sent off a few times, but yeah, he was a proper footballer. He was, I don't think he gets.
But I like the way he would give it, but then he had the skill to back it up. Do you know what I mean? Some people were just like yobs and weren't particularly like skillful, but they sort of made do with their lack of skill by being like a bastard on the pitch. But he was like, he had both. He could ping a ball 30 yards. I remember one game against Man United where he dinked it over Cantona. He'd always do that. We're sort of, back to, it's coming to the touchline, back to the player. He'd always dink it over their heads. And just brilliant. As you said, probably wouldn't have played many games in the modern era with VAR and stuff like that.
But he never would have survived because you can't tackle now. You can't do anything. I mean, he'd be on a booking within about 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to drag him off. You'd end up with 10 players every game.
So true. Oh, good old Dixie. All right, we'll put Julian in. Julian is in.
But also Cresswell, I think, another mention.
Yeah.
I've been a bit critical of him the last couple of seasons, but
I think a lot of people have, though, haven't they?
I think he's just shown what a true pro he is. And he's had a great season.
Oh, he has.
And he's another one who's a left back who's lost a bit of pace, but he can still play, that boy. he can still.
And it's noticeable when he's not in the team. You know,
Exactly.
it is noticeable when he's not in the team as an outlet. You know, in terms of just his crossing and his passing, and I think it's prolonged his career playing in sort of this back three. But you know, at the moment he slots into that left back, and I mean the other day that Burnley game didn't look out of place really.
No.
And so
as long as he's got a bit of cover, as long as he's got a centre half, or he's got the player in front of him maybe doubling up on someone, so he's not literally got someone running one-on-one at him, then he would struggle.
Yeah, fair enough. Especially with the sort of the pace of wingers. I remember we obviously had Zabaleta in, didn't we? And positionally he was still with it, but then he was coming up against people like the Watford lad. I remember Zaha, definitely. He ripped him a new one game, and Salah and Mane, and you know the paces of these wingers is just incredible. So you can't get away with that. We remember when we had like Piercy and we had like Nigel Winterburn, and you know these sort of slightly aging towards the end of basically the last club of their careers, and you could get away with that in the Premier League, but you can't do it now. It's such a quick game now. Right, okay, so we'll put Dixie in. Honourable mention to Aaron Cresswell.
Yes,
very good.
I'm doing that for each position, by the way.
Very good. All right, go on. Who's your first centre half then?
First centre half is Steve Potts.
Oh, nice.
Pottsy, yeah. I mean, to be perfectly honest, this guy should never have been a centre half due to his lack of height, but he made the position his own. He was a perfect foil for every partnered because he was so quick and read the game so well. And back in those days, although you had two up front and you had two marking, he'd normally pick up the smaller player, and whoever he played alongside pick up the big player. He was also like a sort of sweeper. I mean, you don't really see that now because we play in lines. The back 4 or 5 always have to be in a straight line. But no, he would quite often drop off and you know, sweep up any balls over the top or anything like that. But yeah, he was very quiet, unassuming, but knew his job. He just, you know, got on with it type of thing.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think if he was 6 inches taller, he'll be in the England squad because he was that good. He was that good, Potts. He was that good.
Yeah, very good player. Yeah. I think who else was there? Winston Reid. I think it needs a mention as well.
Yeah,
he's been, you know, such a shame that he got that injury. That seems to have, I don't know. They don't seem to fancy him. Whether he's lost so much pace that they just think that he wouldn't be able to survive in it. But it seems weird that they haven't even sort of put him in, or I don't know, unless he's fallen out.
It does seem weird, doesn't it? It does seem weird. I think
it's really strange.
Particularly when you think now, particularly now. I mean, he's getting man of the matches for Brentford and stuff like that. You know, he's playing really well, and you think there would have been when he came back from injury. It's almost like he was just outcasted a little bit, wasn't he? And he went to America and stuff like that. And you're thinking, we're getting no disrespect to Craig at the time because we're thinking, God, we're getting Craig Dawson in. We've got Winston Reid on loan. We could have brought him in, but it just obviously worked out quite well for us that way. But it's a strange one. But well, hopefully Brentford come up and then they sign him and he gets to get to the London Stadium one more time. Do you know what I mean?
That's it. Yeah. It'd be nice to give him a send off because I think he would get a brilliant reception. Yeah, and of course, he's got the last goal at the bowling, which will go down in history.
He'll always have that, won't he? He'll always be in that footnote in West Ham's history. So, right, okay. Willie Reid, obviously Steve Potts, Winston Reid, honourable mention. Who's next? Who's the other centre half?
Alvin Martin, stretch.
Yeah.
Fantastic centre half, strong, composed on the ball. He lacked pace, but he very, very rarely found himself in a position where he'd be exposed. He'd always make sure he wasn't one-on-one, or he'd have a striker running at him. But he was one of my favourites because myself, when I played football, I was a centre half, so you could sort of relate to that. And I wasn't the quickest. But I also remember with him, when he came towards the end of his career, we were our usual selves. I think we were struggling in relegation, and he would drag himself off of the treatment table, and you'd see his name on the team sheet, and it would just be fantastic. Yeah. And invariably he played with Potts, and Potts would cover him, make up for his lack of pace, and we all know what we used to say. He's got no hair, but he don't care. And now in mine, it was just hilarious.
He was just like he was such a West Ham defender. Do you know what I mean? He said would put his body on the line, drag himself off the the injury table just to get the game, but he would never not rely on his commitment. He knew he was going to give 100%, and there's something special about those types of players. That's why people still adore them, because they give their all, give their absolute all. But good man.
Right, who are we on to next? Where are we going now?
Well, have you got another honourable mention?
Yes. Oh yeah. I've got to mention Mr. Gale.
Oh yeah.
He's. I used to deliver the post to him for a little while. Because he lives or used to live where I lived in Walton-on-Thames, and I think he's still the president of Walton Casuals. And I used to play for them. It was funny because there was a period of probably about 3 or 4 months where me and my friends, we used to we had all sorts of events going. There was an event up at West Ham where he was a speaker. We had a funeral where we went and he was there, and he was almost like looking at us, and he kept laughing, and he kept saying, "Are you like stalking me?" we were like, "No, we're just going to all the same things that you are." It was funny, but Gale, he was a great player, Tony Gale, and complimented Martin.
Yeah, they did very well, both of them complement each other. Right, okay, let's go into midfield then. Who are you going to start with?
I'm going to start off at right midfield.
Sure.
He's playing a bit out of position, but I have to play him there in order to get him in, and I'll explain a bit later. And that's obviously Mr. West Ham himself, Mark Noble.
Yeah, Marky Nobes.
He is a great ambassador for the game, I think, and he personifies everything a footballer should be. He is just, for West Ham. I can't really say any more. He's, you could talk about him on the pitch and that, but off the pitch as well. Hopefully, they will find some kind of position for him.
I think so.
Whether it's coaching, an ambassador, or anything. Yeah, you need to keep those type of people around the place.
No, you certainly do. Particularly now more than ever in the modern game, where that sort of loyalty, that sort of dedication, but to your boyhood club as well is is very unusual. And so it's I think next season's going to be a strange season. Obviously he'll be in his last, but it's at least we've got that season to sort of say goodbye. And I think it'll be very emotional, but as you said, I can't see him spending much time outside of London Stadium or outside West Ham. I just think that's his club, in it, and that's what he's brought up to know. So
he's called it at just the right time. He knows his legs are going a bit.
Yeah.
And but he's come in these last few games and he's done a brilliant job. He's come in and just when we've needed it.
Definitely, totally agree. Okay, Marky Noble, yep.
And another player that I like, Kevin Keane. Kevin Keane, he came on the back of sort of after the 85-86 season when we started going a little bit downhill. But he was the one player that lit things up. Whenever we got the ball, give it to Kevin Keane, and he'd run at people. Yeah, good player.
Yeah, he was, and obviously still involved. Same Potts, he's obviously still involved in the coaching setup, and it's brilliant that they are, man. Okay, right, Nobes is in. Who's next?
Yep. Left midfield, we go Alan Devonshire.
Alan Devonshire.
I think most people have him in their sides.
Yeah, if they've seen him play, definitely.
Yeah, he had this turn of pace over a few yards where he'd sort of draw defenders in, and then he'd just be gone. He wasn't a quick player, but just over those first few yards, he'd just get away from people.
Yeah.
And a great dribbler. And I actually, one of the games that I saw him in, he just come back from he had that bad injury, and he was out for pretty much, I think it was just over a year. And a match, it was an FA Cup match, fairly local to me, Wimbledon, Plough Lane, standing on the terrace, and we'd heard rumours that he might be playing, and when they announced it over the tannoy, it was the reception he got. It was Alan Davidson, Alan Davidson. It was fantastic. It was, and he obviously built up his stamina, obviously because he'd been out for so long, built up his stamina the rest of that season, and then he went into the 85-86 season absolutely flying. But yeah, he was
And it's one of those things I think with him as well. We have like, and I've mentioned it. People mentioned it before, but obviously he, as you said, he got injured, came back, and was a different player, and had to reinvent himself. And again, that's something which doesn't happen in the modern day. Antonio's not going to, his hamstrings are gone, but he's not going to reinvent himself as a skillful midfield maestro, or that's all he knows how to do. So he'll carry on doing it,
and he's good at it. So
it's true.
He can't really change.
Nah, I know
he's
what
like
you mean.
a bulldozer. He's brilliant.
But obviously with Dev, once he got the injury, he couldn't do that change. He could be that flying winger. He had to be sort of this tricky winger, and again that takes some balls to do that, and he did it, and he did to great value. Obviously, integral in the 85-86 season, and and the amount of assists he might have got for Cotty and McAvenny, and top man and a lovely bloke as well.
Yeah. And the player I would like to mention as well is Stuart Slater.
Nice.
Only on the scene for a little while, but he was another one who sort of just suddenly exploded and he was, for a season or so, he was it was just give the ball to him and watch him go.
Yeah, that's true, man. It's true. And again, we've obviously, when we've spoken to Slates, and I think by his own mission, you said, looking back at it, I don't think I should have. People said, "Oh, maybe you went to Celtic too early or whatever." And but he said, and I said, maybe because you would have played a lot more games. You'd have maybe been, more people's Hammers 11. You didn't think about that at the time, did you? Jesus, Slates, God's sake, lack of foresight from you. And he said, well, the trouble is, Russ, when my idol was Liam Brady, when Liam Brady phoned you up and wanted you to play for his team, you go. And I was like, fair enough. I can't complain like that. Hey, it's the best comeback ever, But top boy Slates and Dev as well, top guys. Right, okay, Dev's in midfield. Centre
midfield. First one, Billy Bonds.
Bonzo,
the warrior, tough tackling, play anywhere, swashbuckling, socks down by his ankles. Gentle giant, really. I thought, but he was tremendous. But I always remember him playing because I think he played until he was about 40.
Yeah,
I remember
I think he's the oldest player who's turned out for West Ham.
Yeah. And he played. I think we had another game towards the end of the season where we were fighting relegation, and he came into the team. I think we won about 5-0 in this game, and he scored. And he was the best player on the pitch. And it was just like he just come from nowhere. And amazing player, amazing,
unbelievable. Yeah. And a lovely black man as well. And as you said, gentle giant, really was a gentle giant off the pitch and stuff. And it was great that they recognised him with the stand.
With the stands, yeah. And you could see how much it meant to him.
Oh, definitely.
Tears in his eyes, and
definitely.
True professional.
Yep, Bonzo,
and the mention also to Ian Bishop. I thought Bishop was very, very sort of underrated. He was almost, I thought, like a Pirlo of that.
Yeah.
He left, right foot. He knew how to shield the ball, and his weight of pass, the weight he put on a pass, you didn't have to move at all. It would just be perfect. But Bish, great man.
Yeah, and a great boy as well. Love Bish. Okay, so we've got Bonzo in. So who's he gonna partner in the midfield then? Let me think.
Probably my favourite player, Sir Trevor Brooking.
Yeah.
Good old Brooking. Same again, 2 feet. He'd glide around the pitch, and just really good balance. And he had this ability to let the ball run across him.
Yeah, everyone says that. Yeah,
It's strange. He'd be looking round. He'd almost like have eyes in the back of his head, and then he'd let it. He'd get his body there because he was quite a big chap. And it was to watch that. It was, especially on the pitches back then. The pitches were awful, absolutely awful. They were mud baths, and he would just glide across the pitch. And you see other people, other players, they just be slipping and sliding around. And
so true.
Trevor, and obviously, the goal in 1980, the winning goal against Arsenal, and also the first game that I ever went to, he got 2 in that.
There you go. His card was marked already, wasn't it, Andrew?
He's got to be in there.
Yeah, definitely.
But also mentioned to Scotty Parker.
Yeah,
I thought he was, fantastic player for West Ham. And didn't he win? Did he win the footballer of? Was it the footballer of the year or was it the writers?
Right, I think it was the writers the year we went down.
Writers, yeah, we went down, and I mean that says it all. For him to win that for a relegated team.
Exactly, mental, and considering he wasn't actually the captain as well, and everyone, and they'd always quite often would say Captain Scott Parker in the news reports and stuff, and he wasn't actually the captain as well. He just acted like it. You know what I mean? I just think he's a fantastic man, and and I always like Fulham to do well because it's Scott Parker, So I like and hopefully they might dig themselves out.
Yeah, it's a shame they do look as though they're going to go down, but I just think they've been really unlucky. I think
they've got a good team. They've given us 2 bloody good games this season. Yeah,
the 0-0 draw. I mean, they should have at their place. They should have really won that.
Yeah,
and I don't know. It's very different to when they last went down.
Yeah,
when they last went down, they were awful. But this time, I just think they've been a bit unlucky. They got close to Newcastle, and then they've lost, and it's like, if you would have just won that game.
Exactly.
You would have been on their coattails, and they would have probably bricked it and not gone on the run that they did.
I totally agree. And I mean, look at the game at home to our gaff when Lookman did that stupid penalty. It's like, come on, And we're talking about people twatting the ball. That's when you needed to twat the ball. Do you know what I mean? And so, but no, I think they're a good team. I think Fulham play really nice football, and as you said, they have been unlucky and it's that sort of, you need, I think anyone who comes up, you need that little bit of quality up front, and they haven't got that quality up front. They haven't got that, I look at when Wolves came up and made such a big impression. Well, they had some good players. There's some good forwards who are banging in 10, 15 goals. That's what you need to stay up. Anyway, Mr. Brooking, he's in. Sir Brooking. Okay, who is your first forward then?
David Cross.
David Cross, the original Psycho.
Yeah, old Psycho. Yeah, great target man. Had a good touch. He was a perfect foil for the second striker. He scored a lot of goals as well.
He did, 99.
And I remember he scored 4 away to Spurs.
Yeah,
and that that's a bit unheard of.
No,
but yeah. I mean, he goes in the record books just for doing that against the Spuds.
And he's just a lovely bloke as well.
Yeah. And I actually saw him on the when you interviewed him on this channel, and I fell in love with him even more. He was so gracious, and he sort of, if I remember right, he said I was sort of welcomed straight away into the West Ham family.
He was. I mean, so much so that I think we'd finished recording. He went, "Oh, is it done?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "Oh, I want to talk about how much I love the fans." And I went, "Okay." So he just carried on running. And it's funny even now. So if I don't know, if his birthday or whatever, and I text him, he's got me on his phone as Raspberry Russ. because my wife brought in at 99, and he always asked for you should have had raspberry sauce and that. So I'm down his phone as raspberry Russ. So, but yeah, no, I love that. No, he's a yeah, I know what you mean. I fell in love with him. Honestly, I just felt he's so sort of humble, such a humble man, and just so appreciative of West Ham and how they brought him into and how the fans took to him. And he credits all his goals to West Ham fans. You know what I mean? And incredible man. Yeah, he'll love the fact he's in the team. Okay, Crossy.
Crossy. Yeah, obviously Paolo Di Canio. I just could not get him in. He's a maverick, and I'm probably a bit more sort of straight laced to someone like him. He was a fantastic player, Paolo, but he was very temperamental. Being Italian.
No, I get that. No, I understand. Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, he was. But he was. I think he was the right person at the right time for us. He was an entertainer, part of a team, a period which, was very entertaining as a West Ham fan.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So he did the job, bless him. But no, I get that. That's cool. Right, okay. So put Crossy in. We've got one more spot now. Who's going to be? I know. I can't.
It's got to be. Can't you see it? It's got to be TC.
See, I was like, is it TC or Macca? So it's TC.
Yeah. There's actually a number on the back of that, number 10. I don't know why, but that 85-86 season, obviously I was a young lad, and I actually bought 2 home shirts. I actually bought 2 full kits because I used to play a lot of 5-a-side. And I bought, one of the shirts I had number 10 put on the back, and I only wore it half a dozen times. And signed by the man himself as well.
Oh, there you go.
Dare I mention it, at a bondholders meeting. And
hello.
Yeah, I know. That probably won't go down too well, but there's only about 800 of us.
Exactly.
But TC, out and out striker, clinical. What I would call a box player. I mean, I've heard people saying that he was as former player saying he was really lazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, it was his job, wasn't it? That's what he did. He was like, he's like, in the modern day, sort of, so to speak, that fox in a box, and a position which you don't get anymore now. There's no, you don't get those out and out strikers anymore now. Those guys who are just going to literally hang around the 16-yard box and. But he was brilliant, and as you said, just Mr. West Ham, West Ham fan, and because of that, you just take him to your hearts even more. And and what I loved about TC, there's certain players I've interviewed who remember every goal they scored, every game they've played, and he's one of them. Obviously, he has an encyclopedic memory of.
Didn't he have newspaper cuttings and stuff like that?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, every goal, and I think I said he had 7 caps, and he has 8 or 8 and 7. So I made a mistake, and it was like I was so fixated about making sure I got the West Ham goals. I completely didn't check the England stuff, but remembers every goal he scored. Every goal he scored. And I mean, people like Julian doesn't remember all the goals he scored. He said he scored 68, 69 or something like that. But Cotty, how many goals he scored ever? He remembers every goal. It's like mental, absolutely incredible. But a lovely bloke as well. What a top man.
Yeah, definitely. And I mentioned to the man, it got to be Frankie Mack.
Yeah. That's the thing. He was getting closer and closer. Then he went crossing. And okay. I think, okay.
I had to mix it up a bit. It's the same with the actual team. What I would do with Devonshire, I'd just say you can switch wings, and then whichever wing you're not on, either Noble, Brooking, or Bonds will fill. Probably Bonzo will fill in for you. But but I had to get Mark Noble in.
Oh no, I think he did. I think that gives it a balance. It's not just all, the older. I think Mark, and I think Mark sort of transgresses. Is that the right word? But lots of generations, because he's got a bit of that old school mentality about him. When obviously when we have people like Tony, like we've interviewed Reg and whatever, and he was like saying that I think he's 11 years at the club. I think 10 of them were a testimonial for a player. And so, yeah, Mark still retains a bit of that old school mentality about him. So, no, it's good, man. It's nice. No, I like it. I like it.
Because I also looked up as well that most of those players, there's only 2 there that never won Hammer of the Year.
So David Cross.
Yep.
And Phil Parks?
Ray Stewart.
Ray Stewart. Oh, yeah. I only said that because Tonka watches all of them, and I thought it would be nice. But
yeah, but, and they are. I mean, they're all of them are West Ham through and through.
Oh yeah, definitely, and continue to be so. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of players will be West Ham, and then they leave, and it's like West who, But these guys, they all still talk about so highly about West Ham as a fan base and as a club, and yeah, I mean everyone they all talk about them so much higher steady. It's unbelievable. Andrew, man, it's been lovely. Almost an hour has flown by.
Yeah, no,
Amazing.
it's been an absolute.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much.
So pleased that you asked me.
Oh, cool. It's yeah, as I said, it's about every, and to be honest, it's one of those things where I like talk, it's one of those things where, we get the players on and stuff, but I love talking to the fans. I think the fans are just like, you've got the same experiences that we've got, that I've had. And as we're talking, like we've got similar, it's like, okay, maybe I'm about, a decade or so forward than you, so to speak, or later on, but it doesn't matter, you still have those sort of experiences, those first memories and stuff like that. And that's why I think that's why people enjoy it, because it's about going through memory lane and stuff and all that stuff. And it's like I love talking to the older players as well, because we've got, this will be coming out afterwards, but we've got Bobby Ferguson. We just put Bobby Ferguson's interview on. That'll be out after it'll be out before this one comes out. So and like 1967, just brilliant. Talking about his time there, it's brilliant. I love it, absolutely love it. Very privileged to be able to do this. But anyway, thank you, Andrew, and thank you to everyone for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And from myself and from Andrew, take care, everyone, stay safe. He's already doing it. Wash those hands. Come on, you Irons. Come on, you Warriors. We'll see you again very, very soon. Take care.